Well, not everyone gets paid to follow their passion, but Matt Ellis does. He's a development manager with Cricket New South Wales and not only coaches in the game, talks to people about the game, he actually is an author about the game. And he joins us this morning. Matt, lots of roles that you play, and you might not get paid the same big dollars like the Aussie captain Pat Cummins, but you do get paid to do something that you absolutely love.
Yeah, good morning, Geoff. It's interesting the way careers kind of pan out. When I was living in Broken Hill as a 20-year-old, I went away to Brisbane to study sport with the hope of one day being the cricket manager for Far West New South Wales. And I ended up doing a uni degree, studied education, was a teacher, chaplain, even drove the school bus occasionally, was also the principal of a really small school just out of Dubbo. But the way life works out, for me to end up 20 years later doing something that I'd hoped I was doing 20 years earlier is quite a thrill for me, and nice living and breathing cricket 24 hours a day.
And Erin and the kids know most people breathe in and out Zs, you breathe in and out centuries or fifers.
Well, not so many centuries, but certainly a couple of fifers. It's certainly something that's in the blood and something that I've been really passionate about since I was even before I was at school. I've always loved the game, so it's nice to have it front and centre. And you almost have a little bit of trepidation when you take on work that is closely linked to passions, because there's that danger of it becoming less fun than it was before. But one of the good things about being in the Far West, it's so vastly different situations that I'm in on any given day of the week. I could be anywhere within a pretty large patch of New South Wales. So I get to meet some really wonderful volunteers. I get to see, hopefully, the next generation of lifelong cricket lovers in action week to week. So, yeah, really thankful that I have the opportunity to do that.
And you've been podcasting, and now you've written a book. Tell us about both of those projects.
Yeah, well, interestingly, I realised this until someone told me about a month ago. I started a podcast when I was at university. So when I was studying to be a teacher, podcasting was a new thing. And I thought, I'll do a cricket version of this. And I've been running the Cricket Library podcast since about 2012. And it's actually the first cricket podcast established in Australia. So I didn't actually realise that at the time. I was doing it and loving it and talking about cricket every week. And at the time, that might have been 10 or 15 people plus mum and dad that had tuned in and listened. But over the years, kind of grown it, and I've been really fortunate to interview some great cricket people, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years. I've really put a fair bit of effort into.
And you've now put together a book for the love of cricket, Haiku poems inspired by the summer game. What's that all about?
This is probably links back to my teaching as well. Yes, a lot of friends do link back to my time in the classroom. One of the things I loved was teaching kids poetry, and the haiku poem is such a great format for a poem. It's a simple 5-syllable, 7-syllable, 5-syllable pattern. So for kids that are reluctant writers, a 5-7-5 3-line poem is actually quite achievable and something that would actually inspire kids to write. From my time doing that in the classroom a couple of years ago, I thought, I'm going to start writing some cricket-related haiku poems. That's where the idea kind of started, and then I collated a whole lot of different stories and reflections on the game of mine, and then put little haiku poems to go with them. So the basic theme of the book is stories, anecdotes, reflections, and thoughts on different players with accompanying haiku poems to go with it.
And that's an online book at this stage?
Yeah, at this stage, only for the diehards want to read it online, but definitely getting very close to having a hard copy available, and really looking forward to getting the hard copy done. So just tidying up formatting and things like that, that's something that I'm really excited about doing. But we've had a bit of interest online on Amazon. Do a search for it on there, and I've been getting some nice feedback from people that have been reading it so far, which is always encouraging, and it's a real thrill. It's something I've been wanting to do for probably about the last 20 years, is put pen to paper. But you know what life's like, Geoff. You have lots of other things that are more important. So it's sort of been my 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. project over the last 2 years. I've just been kind of pottering away at it and trying to knock it all together. And I'm really thankful to my wife and kids being so gracious with me spending so much time on it.
ambition and ability don't always match up. But Matt Ellis is the cricket manager for Western and Southern New South Wales. He's passionate about the game. He's writing about the game. Matt, you have an offsider. I'm intrigued. M-fiction.
This is very interesting. The Matt Fiction character has actually evolved over the years during my travels in the far west. It can get quite lonely out there, and one day I was between Vulcania and Cobar, somewhere out there. I had a cricket book in the glove box, and I thought, I need to pull over and have a break. I'm pretty tired from driving. And then the Matt Fiction character evolved. So he's a bit of a it's a bit of a funny one. So what we ended up doing is I had this Matt Fiction character. We started doing cricket book reviews in random places on the side of the road in Wales, and put the videos on YouTube. You don't ever see Matt Fiction's face at all, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. The character's kind of maybe a bit like the Dan Frogan character. I don't know if many people know about the Dan Frogan character, but it's kind of evolved and getting bigger than Ben Hur now.
It is wonderful that you're able to combine your love and your work and to do it in such a great fashion. You mentioned your wife, Erin, and how lovingly she's embraced everything that you've done in cricket. Well, with Valentine's Day coming up on Monday, you have focused a little bit on men and their lovers and wives in the game, and you've had one chapter titled Kisses to the Crowd. Give us a quick resume of that.
Well, I have this long-held anecdotal theory that off-field happiness is linked to on-field success in cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a theory. And then I thought, actually, you've only got an opinion until you've got data. So I went and crunched some numbers and realised there was actually some quite strong links between players' on-field performance improving in that sort of 2-year period after they got married. So there's a couple of examples of that. Ricky Ponting is one of them. Also, it's a bit of a surprise with John Bradman and how his numbers stacked up. I think he made 299 not out in his final test match before getting married, and his first test match as a married man, he got it done. So it's a good discussion starter. And Valentine's Day on Monday, I mean, what could be more romantic, Geoff? Maybe sharing a haiku poem with someone you love.
I remember interviewing a nameless character from Cobar who was married on the Saturday and on Sunday morning left a note on the pillow beside his new bride, gone to Burke, see you tonight, darling. When he got home, there was a cricket bat on the front door. Gone home to mum's. I'll see you when you get out. So life and love come together in very, very many mysterious ways. Well, in the meantime, for the love of cricket, they can log on, type in that title, For the Love of Cricket, or Matt Ellis, or Matt Fiction, and they'll be able to read all about it, those anecdotes, the haiku poems, and just a passion for a sport that you've grown up with. Thanks for joining us this morning, Matt.
Oh, my pleasure, Geoff. Thanks so much for having me.